You seen the plans? It was a? That's right. And there was one right over there. Right? And this now is a street. So we had to do all of the engineering beforehand to get to this point. Part of development means other people get to have a say-so in your project, right? So part of that was this property was zoned one thing. To make it a community, it had to be zoned a different thing. Have you ever seen on the side of the road a sign about this big, or this tall, this bright yellow that says Fairfax County zoning? There's a sheet of paper on it?
Yeah.
Okay. Something is going through zoning and there's going to be a public hearing, right? So when we changed this zoning, Greensprings Retirement Community wanted to have a say in what's happening here. All those residents right there. There's roughly 1,800 homes. Okay? And behind us, the neighborhood back there, they wanted to have a say in this development. So through the public hearing process, they got to have a say. Okay? So we got all sorts of questions like, hey, I want to build X. Can't do it because through the zoning process, we've already defined which houses go where. All right? So, Ed, you've talked about with the group about what?
We went over financing and we went over site planning.
Okay.
And we talked about zoning,
Okay.
and the process for it, and just development, what needs to occur.
Okay. So what you're seeing over there is some equipment put in our second phase. We got another court. There's 8 houses on this one. There's gonna be 10 on that. So it's a total of
18.
Very good. Who said that? Your math was so spot on.
So math. So much
We
genius.
went to all 18 lots during
Okay.
tech class. So
All right.
everything was split.
Okay. Excellent. So here's the thing. We had started building this house and we had an approved plan, and the board of supervisors. Who are they? You know who the board of supervisors are?
The people in charge of the schools.
Not the school system. That's the school board. Board of supervisors are elected officials that oversee the county, right? They run the budget and do lots of things in
So
the
they
county.
made it so that it had to be. Yeah, I remember her.
So they came to us and said, we want you to have a universal design subdivision. Universal design means 36-inch entryway doors, no step into a house, no step into that house, right? There's no step into any of these houses except the first one. No slip flooring, lower light switches, bigger bathrooms and things. And so we said, okay, we'll do that. That's good for the community. We already had the first one done. So these remaining houses, we pushed down 12 inches. Is that a big deal?
When you start putting on all the extra dirt track now, probably yes.
You guys remember when we talked about this when it came?
That's a lot of
How
dirt.
much dirt we moved out of the holes?
I'm going to show you how much dirt that was, right? And you're going to be astonished how much
That-
dirt
that
we created.
pile?
No, not that pile. That's hardly even a dump truck load right there.
Oh.
No, no. We moved dirt for 14 days last year, 10 hours a day. That's how much dirt we moved. There was a pile. To build this, we had to move it. There was a pile of dirt that was 42 feet tall,
And the same size
by
as the
30
house.
feet, 30 feet wide, right? That's how big the pile of dirt
So
was.
that's the size of the house, right?
There's 2 though. 2 lots, right? So there's some factors that go into here, right? So Ed here, we'll call him Mr. Ed. All right?
Mr.
Ed here specializes in taking properties and developing them, right? And Will does the same. Takes properties and develops them. And there's a lot of factors. Will works in Herndon mostly.
All over.
All over.
We're building in Alexandria.
But Will works in really hot spots where the community is really interested in what they're doing. And he also works in really tight spots. This would be expansive for Will's group, right? Ed, 10th and Page is your company name, right? 10th and Page, and they're doing commercial revitalization, existing properties and converting them to new structures, right? So the development goes from everything from barren land to really unique, difficult lots of land that are being repurposed to existing structures that have worn out their time and needed new time. So the spectrum of development goes everything from raw land to houses to urban revitalization, right? They're really interested in what? At the end of the day, what's the most important thing to them?
They get paid.
Money.
That's right. right? At the end of the day, they're going to turn a piece of property into something else and get paid for it. I'm most interested in what?
Money.
No. I'm most interested in teaching young people how to build houses, right? How to do it the right way. They might be future contractors, future builders, right? So we have a different purpose. They laugh at my model of building and construction because they couldn't do what we do, what I do, right? In a time and money standpoint. To them, time is money. To me, time is getting it right, okay? I have the luxury of closing my doors when there's a snow day and you guys are at home, okay? They don't. They go to work, right? So when you see the plows out working, they're making sure that they can go to work and that their subcontractors can get to work so they can finish that project on time. Because a project has, what's the depth of a project? It's two things, scope creep and slippage. Scope creep means the scope that you gave turns into something else, right? So we were just upstairs and Will said to me, I said, we're having some dirt problems. He knocked on some wood and said, at least you haven't hit rock, right? That would be scope, right? So where the scope's got to go, we hit rock, we've now got a blast, we've got other things to do. Scope slip means weather gets in your way, or a product isn't delivered on time, or a subcontractor doesn't show up on time, which pushes your schedule out. And when you talked about finance, and if you don't meet your deadlines on finance, you might not get your draw from your banker for your loan, right? So all these things are tied in. Let's go through the house. There's some guys in there working, hanging some drywall, putting some locks on. There's hopefully a truck coming up here with some granite here in just a little bit to set the countertops and things. Ooh. All right? So let's walk through here and go through the house. Yeah, we got a question.
Can we take our shoes off? Or?
Are they clean?
Yeah.
So
you didn't look at them. You don't look at the tops, just at the bottoms. There you go. Yeah, so we can go ahead and go inside. Here's the thing, right? I'm going to give you 5 minutes to go through the house. Go through the house. We'll meet right at the front door in 5 minutes, okay? So one of our intentions is that we have a bedroom on the first floor, not a master bedroom, but a bedroom. So maybe grandma lives with you, broke her head, maybe Aunt Jen comes to live with you. They can be on the first floor and be comfortable with their own bathroom. Okay? But notice how big the doors are. Right? So a wheelchair will roll right through here all the way in.
Yeah.
Got it?
Makes sense. Everything that we.
That house is by itself and singular. These two houses right here, lot 2 and lot 3, are the exact same house.
What?
Lot 4 and lot 5 are the exact same house.
But just different styles.
Lot 6 and lot 7 are the exact same house. So let's go in the front door of 7.
house is they're roughing it. They did the roughing in. So you see how all the electricals run?
Yeah.
So once all the drywall's put up and all the insulation in the exterior walls, they're going to go ahead then and actually hook all the outlets up, hook all the switches up, put in all the ceiling lights, exhaust fans,
pipes.
drop down ceiling you see here. That's where you, or not drop down ceiling, I'm sorry. Those are the recessed lighting. So you see all of that. This is the roughed in stage of that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this the house that could have a compatibility with an elevator?
All of them have it. Remember, they said that all of these houses have that compatibility. And if you go into the bathrooms, you'll see it as well, where it's 36 inches in width. So whenever you go through, you're going to be able to put a wheelchair through there. But one thing they said is that you'd have to retrofit the vanities, the actual cabinets themselves.
Come on.
Exact same house. How many bedrooms?
4.
4.
4.
4. Sure 4. How many upstairs?
3.
3.
4 up there.
3.
3. How many are in this hall?
1.
What does that make that? What do we get to? How many in the basement?
0.
Yeah, there's a bedroom in the basement. Right? So 5-bedroom house. Right. So the intention is, right, with this, from a wheelchair standpoint, you can wheel right on in. You can access the entire first floor, right? Differently than next door, where you had nothing. This will have a poured concrete patio. The one next door is going to have a raised deck. So let's leave that up there so everybody can see it.
There's a
Right?
hill right there.
Right? So a little different, and it's a covered porch.
Oh, okay.
So universal design. Grandma breaks her hips and comes to live with you. You can access everything on the first floor. Right?
Okay.
This is the first house, that house and this house, where we did not incorporate an elevator. Though if we had, the elevator went right there.
Yeah.
Right? So we looked at it and asked the question, does a homeowner want to spend $30,000 after they buy a house to put an elevator in? Maybe, maybe not.
Oh, options.
Chairs have come a long way, right? Electric chairs. So our stairs are wide enough that a person can be in a chair and somebody can accompany them all the way upstairs. Years past, 15 years ago, that wasn't the case, but it is now. So electric stair chair, $4,000 to $5,000. Elevator, $25,000 to $30,000. Where do you think you're going to land? Probably on the chair, right? So we can have a better use of our space, right? So we come in here with the students and we'll bring a kitchen designer in and say, here's the space. Let's plan it. Work with the students on how to plan it. Our electrical students from Edison, they come over and wire it. This is their wiring. Okay, got wet, right? But you can see where they put the lights in, and then they'll run from here, right? Questions that they have as they're going along, they keep track of them here. So this is how we progress through. Ed or Will, what's your production schedule for how you do things?
You mean in terms of jumping from one house to the next? Like
Yeah,
over there and
so
phasing?
we sell a house per year, but we started that house summer 2013. Okay, right? We started this house summer 14. It'll sell next year. So it takes us 18 months, 19 months to sell a house. What does it take you?
We can build a house in 4 months, and there's never a moment when you're in the house where there aren't a bunch of subcontractors, because as soon as one guy gets done, the other guy's there, either right on his or her heels or the next day. So it never stops, and they work. The only thing that makes us stop working is we are only allowed to work from like 7 in the morning till 7 at night. So it is as quickly as we can get it done process.
So our investment here is student learning over time, right? So we have a different build schedule than your developers go.
So
right?
for the time, and to equate it to, for the time that it takes to build one house here in the commercial market, we can build 300 unit apartment.
So right now, our biggest focus is right over there. What do you think that is?
A new what?
New. Stormwater management.
Oh yeah, that one.
Stormwater management. The person who will shut you down the fastest is the Chesapeake Bay Authority. Okay? They're really concerned about what happens downstream. Right? And last night we had a deluge of rain. So we have to make sure that we are protecting the environment with appropriate engineered stormwater management. Okay, that's really important for me as a person who lives in Fairfax County, to make sure we're not polluting the streams that go into the Occoquan or the Potomac. As a developer or builder, it's really important because if you have a violation, it's going to come with a fine, and you're going to have to clean up the mess you made downstream, right? And water runs, right? And silt and sediment, which is basically dirt, is really light and floats for a long time. So your cleanup can be here, and it could be 4 miles downstream that you're cleaning up an entire 4-mile track. So you really want to be careful about that. So we have super silt fence and silt fence up. The super silt is the chain link fence, right? And the silt fence is the black mesh there, right? Okay. And so what that'll do is that will capture any silt fence, it'll capture any silt from moving on unless you have a breach. Right? So, but you can see what they're starting to do here. That backhoe's arm is going way down, right? So let's go ahead and shut that window before you fall out. Or somebody pushes you. I'm not saying anything, but somebody might. See how deep that arm goes? They're making the connection for our sewer for the next phase. And as we walk around, you'll be able to see the path that sewer is going to. So, a couple questions were, what happens to the money? Right? We sell a house. The house you were just in will list at $885,000 in a few weeks. Right? Our build price is right around $600,000. Okay? That's what it costs to build that. Just build the house. That doesn't include all of the site improvements. The street, the curb and gutter, the sewer, the water, all those connections. We add about $140,000 onto the $600,000, right, for the development cost. So that makes us about $740,000, let's call it $750,000 is about where we are for cost. So if we list it at $885,000, we're going to pay a real estate agent 6% to sell it, right? So that comes out for the $885,000 if we get what we ask for it. So there's profits somewhere around $90,000 to $100,000 at the end we hold on to, so that our next project, we have money in the bank to do that project. When we left McLean, we were in McLean, we built 16 houses in McLean. When we came here, we came with $2.7 million in our bank account. We put $2 million into site development, engineering, just for the first phase. So we built the first house with no loans. We put all the site improvements in with no loans, right? And so we were cash poor. We didn't have any cash. We had to sell that first house to build the second house, right? Sold that second house, profits to build the third house, right? So you keep on going. So the proceeds from that house, we're at the point now where we've got enough money to build this house. The proceeds from that house will build the next house next door, right? So how do we do that?
The difference is, you guys remember when we came and talked about financing, is Will or I will go out and get a loan. We won't build everything with cash, even if we have it. It's not worth it for us to use our money. We want to use somebody else's money to earn a return on a smaller portion of the money, where Chad's mission is not the same. He's not interested in making money, he's interested in educating students. And a loan is a piece of the process we don't need to have. So, very different intentions.
So, one of the things in a house you have to guard against is fire intrusion. Okay? So, we want to make a house that's fire safe, right? So, anytime that you drill a hole from one floor to the next floor, you've created an opportunity for air to go down and to fuel a fire, right? So whenever you have a through hole from floor to floor, you've got to seal it. So this one hasn't been sealed. But if you look at that ductwork over there, right, it's been sealed. That orange duct around that says that's been fire block sealed. Okay?
Oh yeah, you can get an orange bump.
So wire, right? Some's white, some's yellow,
Some's blue.
right? What do you think that means?
Different things for this.
It depends on what it's going to.
It does.
Lights are white.
It's a ground wire.
No. So your yellow is going to be 12-2 wire, right? And your white's going to be 12-2, 12-3. Your white is going to be 14 gauge. So it's different gauge wire. So when the building inspector comes in, he can very quickly visually see what kind of wire is going to outlets versus what kind of wire is going to switches for lights, right? Because the load on an outlet, the load, what you plug into it and use, is different than the load on your lights that you know what you're going to use, right? So we specify and do calculations, our electrical students do, to calculate the size of the circuit so that they know that the lighting circuit will handle this many 90-watt lights or what have you. But what Will said is accurate. If you go on a commercial residential development project, there would be 10 trucks out here and 12 to 15 guys inside. And you have to coordinate that, right? And as a career choice for you, project management fits into the construction world. It fits into the IT world. It fits into every world where you're trying to manage a project and different people at different times coming to you, right? So that's an opportunity for you from a career standpoint, project management. Because you can't have drywall showing up until your installation's in, right? You gotta have your installation in the drywall, so there's a scale there. Project. When we first got here, there was a parking lot here for the soccer field, and we put all this in. And as a developer, you contract with subs to do that work, and then the utilities, right? Who are the utilities? Who are the utilities?
The water.
Yep, water's one. Who else? Go ahead, spit it out. Electricity, who else?
Gas.
Gas. Air conditioning, not a utility. It's a necessity, but not a utility. How about what you watch on TV?
Oh, cable.
Cable and phone, right? So we put in our site plan, and it was approved by the county, and then that gets sent to the utilities, right? To say, hey Verizon, hey Dominion Power, hey Cox Cable, hey whoever else. We're going to build 8 houses here, 10 houses here. If you want to provide cable service or phone service, you need to put in the infrastructure, right? Which means they'll come in and they'll run their boxes. So we did that.
People over there don't have phones.
Sure they do. Sure they do. It's already been done in place, right? So then see these stakes here? These are offset stakes, and they're offset by 10 feet, right? So if you could take that stake right there, right? When you come 10 feet, you're gonna be somewhere in this neighborhood, right? And this is where the new street's gonna be. It's gonna go this way, right? Kind of right in front of that pile of plywood there, over towards the compactor, right?
What is that?
So I want somebody to go stand on that green thing right there.
I got it.
What do you think that is? Huh? No. Close. It's a Verizon fiber optic box.
For a cable.
It's for TV, it's for internet. Guess what it's in the middle of? Yep. Guess who it feeds?
There.
Greensprings. Alright? So that cable box is in the wrong spot. Hey Ed, how long is it going to get me to take Verizon to move that for me?
Well, we asked them first. How long do you think it's going to take to move that box from there to there?
Yeah, I need that box moved from there to here. That's all I need, right to here to there. How long is it going to take?
2 months.
2 months. How much?
2 months.
You said 2? You got 2. Anybody else?
Depends on how slow Verizon is. Probably anywhere
There you go. And the answer is very slow. It's going to take a year.
It's going to take a year.
Move that box from there to there.
And we can't put a street in with that box right there. Because you know what? If we disturb that fiber optic line and that goes down, we're responsible. And guess what I'm not doing? I'm not paying for their discomfort. So here's the situation. As a developer, the utility, unbeknownst to us, put that in the wrong spot, and now we're going to suffer as a result of it.
So let's talk about what that means. So for Mr. Macklin, he can build a house every year, and so he has a little bit of time to work with. If this was Will's project, he needed to sell houses in 4 months. That box takes a year to move. What do you guys think is going to happen?
Problem.
You got a very big problem.
Would accidentally get cut if they come out tomorrow and fix it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Problem solving, right?
So
We have a very big problem.
these things are in construction unforeseen, right? And I said to it earlier, Will said, at least you haven't hit rock, right? Because when you engineer something and you come out, you'll do test bores and see what kind of ground you have. But when I signed this contract for $400,000 to put this street in right here, there was a clause, right? And that clause stipulated what would happen if they found rock, right? And that clause is an expensive clause because I'm out of control at the standpoint. So from an engineering standpoint beforehand, I want to know kind of what my soil is, right? And we're going to walk over here, I'm going to tell you about a problem we ran into that we weren't expecting. That's a plus for us. So here's setback number 1. Officially, this is called a wash rack, right? And it's required that any vehicle coming through here is going to go back to the street. It's supposed to get washed off right here and the mud fall into the rack so that it doesn't go out into the street. Because I, as the developer, am responsible if mud is on that street. And I can tell you, I have hand shoveled that street many times myself.
Remember what Mr. Macklin said earlier, why we have all the silt fence up in here? Is to catch all that dirt. So if that dirt goes out of here and right into the storm, is there any silt fence in there stopping it?
No, right? But you did notice, see, this is open. I want you to look at that. What is that?
A pile of mud.
No, look at it.
It keeps it from getting in.
Silt trap. Okay?
There's a
So,
little pile of glass right there for the hose.
from this line north, okay, we're not into VDOT, right? From this line south, we are. We just put this one here because of this rack, right? We opened this up and exposed ourselves right there. And when I say exposed ourselves, I'm talking about thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars of exposure, okay? So, as a developer,
Why don't you guys have one over there?
because that's not going to get over there. If this is going to go anywhere, it's going to go to that one. If it's pressed in this, it would take a lot for silt to get over that side over there.
Take the existing use that's there, redo it, and back up to market standards.
Red flag of this tie-in for our toilet and washroom in this trailer. And you go to that manhole, and you go down 22 feet. That's the bottom where we tied in. 22 feet down. I'm 6 feet. Okay? All right? That house, from the front porch to the top, is 27 feet. Okay? To give you a perspective. That's our tie-in. So our connection here is we're going to put the street in, and we're going to put 10 houses, so we've got to extend our sewer around. So we dug this trench out, and we took the dirt out of the ground. Dug it and put it out of the ground. We put in our new sewer pipe. We had the engineer come out, do our compaction, saying our soil was nice and tight. Put our pipe in, we're good. Start putting our soil back in, bury 6 feet of soil, compact it down, and it won't compact. It will not compact. So if I compact right here, I'm loose over here. If I compact over here, I'm loose over here. If I compact over here, I'm loose over here. We can't get a compaction. We have to pull all the soil back out. We had to have a soil engineer come in and look at our soil. We have what's called slop soil. Slop soil is wet soil that was in the ground that will not compact. So for this, from this manhole to that manhole, about 62 feet, we brought in 6 tons of lime. Right? Now you have to have a permit to get that lime. Right? So we have to get a permit to get that lime. Bring the lime out. We take all the dirt out and we drag it out and we mix lime in it to try to dry it. So we spent 2 guys, 40 hours apiece, 80 hours, 6 tons of lime to try to dry that much soil. It cost me about $16,000.
Did it work?
It worked. Right? 60 feet. I got 400 more feet to go. $15,000. 60 feet. I got 400 more to go. Now, is that scope slip or scope creep? Creep. That's creep. Not expected, not anticipated. The scope of the project just got bigger. It also slip because it's going to take longer to do that. So now I have creep and slip. Right? So this is a dynamic project. And every day you show up and something is affecting you. Right? That's the dynamic part of it. Right? It's called a trench box. Okay? A trench box is used to maintain a trench. You ever heard of the news when a trench collapsed and the guy was stuck? The worker was stuck in a trench? Oh yeah. Right? That's what trench boxes are for. Now what they've done here, instead of using trench boxes to put this in place, they've made a wider trench with a gradual slope, right? So I could have either, and I chose this, required them to use trench boxes and disturb very little soil, or not require trench boxes and they do a bigger soil. It's cheaper to move more dirt than it is to be exact with a trench box, because I had the space, I'm good to go here. But if I was just extending for 2 houses, I'd have to use a trench box, right? So these are just factors. So when you see manholes, this is what they look like. They're all the same. They're narrow at the top. On the ladder, it goes down and there's more room.
What is
Right?
this?
This is all going to be sewer.
That's
right
an
here,
old
right?
stop.
So we've got to get, part of our poop tour is going to be our 13th house and our 5th house. When they flush their toilet, it's got to go, which means I have to have fall. Okay, and we're going to walk the fall, but it has to go, so you can see. And all of this is required, right? You've done studying in medieval times and Roman times, and they had the aqueducts, right? In Rome and Greece, right? The aqueducts did what?
They took water in and out.
They took water in and out, right? What else did they do?
The wastewater.
That's right, right? They serve 2 purposes. We do the same thing here. Poop is low, fresh water is high. But they're stacked on top of each other. If you can take the dirt away, we have aqueduct systems here. They're not open to the air, but it's the same concept. There are different levels. All right? So, so they use a trench box there. Why would they use it there? They're using it there to stabilize the bottom grade, right? So when they're getting to where they want to put the pipe down, we have a compaction problem here. They want to make sure we don't have a problem there. So they're doing the finesse right there, but you can see it's wider where they're standing. It's not a true trench box usage. But we also have to put in fire hydrants, right? We've got to put in street lighting like that, not like
I didn't
this,
see the fire hydrant.
right? What do you think that line is right there?
Which waistline?
Cast iron line right there. That's your sewer line, right? You got to put in gas, okay? Water, right? So then your power will come in and do electricity. We don't do that. We have to do water, sewer. We have to do that, and then Fairfax Water come out and does our meter, our sets, and our evaluation. All right.
The concrete sewer, right?
Don't forget the crocodile.
Where's your crocodile for the sewer? Crocodiles aren't native.
All right. So our street follows the path of manholes. They'll be in the middle of the street. All right. Going right on down and around. So, we also have to have laterals. What do you think a lateral is?
Probably something that pushes it out to the one that goes up and
Nope.
down.
Nope. A lateral, this is our street, our stormwater and our sewer. Our lateral is going to be our connection to our individual house. This is a dig for a lateral. So this is coming back where we're going to tie into that post right there, 4x4. They'll run a pipe right to that for tying in our water and our sewer for when we build our house. So, and this will be, that post will be about 2 or 3 feet inside of the sidewalk. All right, so that when we go to build this house, we don't have to go back into the street to make that connection. We have a stub right there. Okay. Now, that house over there has to be lower or higher than this house right here.
Higher.
Higher. It's got to be higher. All right. When you flush the toilet, it's got to go. It's all got to go downhill. Okay. This all was designed on a piece of paper. All right, and then in an engineer's head, he looked at this property and said, okay, to make this fit, what do I have to do? Right? Now, you don't just get to willy-nilly say sewer goes at this height. Sewer and water have to flow at a natural rate. If it's too steep, you'll get vacuum issues, right? Vacuum where it's sucking and pulling, right? If it's too low, you'll get blockage issues. So it's got to be right? And it's got to be right for the long term, because when you put this in, it's got to be right for 100 years. So there's no room for error. What happens if that is 2 inches too low? 2 inches.
Then you have to pull up the street.
Take it all up, all right? If it's 2 inches too low, so the margin of error, right, is to about 1/4 of an inch here. That's our margin of error, about 1/4 of an inch, right? So, and I'm just gonna tell you right now, before we go on our poop walk, it's a long walk, and the margin of error was 1/4 of an inch. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel connects Virginia Beach to the eastern shore of Virginia. Right, 16.8 miles. They started that bridge in the 1960s. They started from both sides and they worked in. They were 3/8 of an inch off, right to left. They were perfect height-wise, perfect. They were 3/8 of an inch off, over 16.8 miles. That's pretty good. So when we talk about our margin for errors, it's really important that you know what your tolerances are. Tolerance is something you should have learned about, right? So we got laterals, we got sewer connections, water connections, and this is all the bases. And if our compaction's not right, what's the problem?
Oh, Jazz, when it rains, we just seep it.
That's one. What goes on top of that? What goes on top of that?
A house.
Over there.
House
House is right here. What goes on top of that? The road. Right? So if you don't have compaction, you're going to have road problems, you're going to have potholes issues.
It's
Right?
gonna look like
So all of this is predicated on building 10 houses right here, and for me as a builder, clearing about $110,000 a piece. That's $1.2 million, right? But I'll take that $1.2 million and put it in something else. But if Ed and Will were doing this, they'd be clearing $500,000 to $600,000, right? And moving on to the next one. So it's just a scale difference, right?
Make it to the top.
Right about here. Behind me, what is that? Soil. Right about here. See that grade? See where the street is? I'm about 5 feet high. 6 feet high from the grade right here. So from here, behind me. To that silt fence line. All of that dirt. All the way across. See that pipe over there? All the way to there. This is what 12 inches created.
Oh.
Okay?
Oh.
I'm 18 feet higher than where I was over there. 18 feet, 80 feet wide, by almost 180 feet long. This is all the dirt that pushing those houses down 12 inches created. Right? So it's a really easy ask that the board supervisor came and said, hey, we want universal designs, can you do that? There's a lot of money in dirt right here. And if we had to pay to get this taken out, it's $200 a truckload. How many truckloads are here?
A lot.
About 600. Okay?
A lot.
It's a pile of money, right? 600 times 200, plus I got to pay an operator to load all those trucks. Right? Because the board of supervisors wanted something else for the community, which was great and fine, but there's an effect with that. This could be a lateral tie or a sewer bottom, right? So it could be going straight through, or we could do a lateral tie-in from next door. I don't know how they're using this one. So in about 3 months' time, we'll be out here, right? And if you count, there's 1 gutter, 2 gutters. You see the 3 gutters? 1, 2, 3. Between the 3rd and the 2nd gutter, our pipe is too small and is too large of a fall. All right. So it's a 15-inch pipe, 15 inches in diameter, right? And it's falling at 3.5 degrees. We're going to take out 22 feet and go from 15 inches to 18 inches and from 3.5 degrees to 3.1 degrees. So we'll be able to handle more water with 18-inch pipe at a lower rate, so it'll slow the water down. Right now, we can handle the same amount of water, but we're moving it at a faster rate. But the county wants us to slow the water down. Because what does fast water do? Okay? It wants to slow it down. So it comes all the way down here, goes and hits the water over there. The people that own Erickson, the people, the company that owns Greenspring, they had told their residents that this was their piece of property and that they had given it to the local soccer association to use for soccer fields. Not true at all. Oh. No bit of that was true. Not a single bit of it was true. So I was invited to be on their TV channel one day and talk about what we were doing. And when I did, I got all sorts of questions. Because they had told them that this was their property. How could we develop their property? It's Erickson's. I'm like, it's not Erickson's, it's ours. I was totally ambushed. 3,000 residents totally ambushed me. Because the company said, oh, it's a soccer field, just young kids out there playing, and the people retired, oh, that's great, kids have somewhere to play. It just wasn't true. So I had to backpedal and dig out of that situation. So as a developer, you never know what's gonna come. West Hampton, these are our neighbors. All right, they had an effect on us. Well, we had an effect on them. Like I said, Greensprings used to use our parking lot field during the day for their employees to park. Now their employees are parking here. What do you think West Hampton feels about that?
They're mad.
Okay, they're not real happy. But it's a city street. They're legally allowed to park here. But it's about the relationship and doing what you can to mend the relationship and maintain it. Okay, so in looking, right, from this point here where I stand, okay, and that level over there behind the light where the dirt is, right now I'm 12 feet beneath the parking lot that used to be there.
Wow.
Okay? Our sewer comes through the neighborhood. It goes down through these woods. It goes under a stream, went underneath the street, goes under a stream, comes under this street, and goes 490 feet that way.
Let's do it.
Okay? When we had to sign up and we had to put this sewer in, because it's important, again, when you flush the toilet, you want it to go somewhere, right? This is where it had to travel to, right? So that's our piece of property. This one right here is the Board of Supervisors piece of property. And this is the Park Authority's property. So this was the dedicated easement for us. We didn't have to create it, but the easement was here. But when we started this project, this path was completely covered in shade and trees all over it. So who do you think was upset with all the trees gone?
Park Authority.
Greenspring. Because they used to walk on the path. What a beautiful path to walk on. It's tree lined, it's shaded, it's beautiful.
I don't like it like that.
So what I want you to hear from me is there are always a lot of challenges, but when you keep the development site in mind of what you want to do at the end of the project, is it worth it, and you just keep troubleshooting and problem solving. All right?
Did you guys remove trees in here too?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, the path was here.
Yeah.
We put it back in, but it was completely tree overgrown.
Okay.
And it was a nice covered walking path. There was no grasses anywhere. But now and the sewer line runs to the left of the asphalt.
Okay, yeah.
So the trench they were making over there is the trench we made over here, and there's a stream right next to the whole darn thing. So we had Chesapeake Bay Water Authority monitoring us like nobody's business. So because again, you want to be responsible. You don't want to harm the environment, and a breach in that, and you can see our silt fence is still up because we don't have cover yet. All right, we don't have cover yet from the Park Authority standpoint, which means that grass is not dense enough. That grass right there that you're looking at is not dense enough. It's about halfway in a density. So.
And then will that have to be mowed?
Nope.
No, they just
because
leave
the
it.
Park Authority, we return it. They're responsible for maintaining it, and the Park Authority has an initiative called Tall Grasses.
Yeah, that's right.
It's good for certain vermin and animals. It's bad for neighbors because you've got mice and you've got snakes and you got living in the tall grass where they're going to thrive right next to the neighbors. This street crossing right here, we did the crossing, is about 130 feet, and we did not disturb it. We brought in a drill, just like you've seen in videos where they dig tunnels. We brought in a drill that dug under the street. It bored and augured all under the street, right? Took us about 70 feet that way to get it in place, and to dig under, and it's pretty amazing, yeah.
So how'd you miss that? How'd you not hit that?
See this?
Mm-hmm.
You can here, and we went to the left of that, right of that tree.
Yeah.
And so we trench boxed this carefully because this we did not want to disturb. We didn't want to break the road. And then for the 10 days it took us to do this, have to have flag people and have the people upset as they were going across gravel. And you'd work for a day, and at the end of the day, you have to return the street to its condition. And it come in one day. And the next day you come back and do it again. So you've seen them working a street and they put those metal plates over. Right underneath the metal plates, it's not a hole. There's soil right back up to that level. They're gonna take it all back out the next day. So this is the path we went to, so it was careful digging. That was there. This may not have been here when we did this, because that's a fiber box, but I know that one was there. So.
Was it significantly cost more to tunnel under like that instead of going right over?
Cheaper.
Yeah, actually cheaper?
Yeah. So the $1.7 million it cost us to do all this site work development, the 2 street crossings were $400,000. Oh wow. So 2 street crossings. The stream crossing is another animal all in itself.
Jeez.
Right, and so we do this, and he starts calling the board of supervisors and inspections and saying, what's happening next door, what's happening next door? Because it was just, since he'd never been there, that's all it was a treat area. But it was an identified easement. And it was a difficult situation to be in. And it takes a lot of work, working with neighbors, and you got to be a good neighbor. So part of it was also, this was all treed. There was no break here. So we took this swatch out, right? And there's a sewer, manhole, goes right up there. Heads right towards that house, right? That's the unfinished house. And this, though you don't see it, is drivable by a big truck if the county needs to come service the sewer. Because we don't maintain the sewer, they've accepted it, it's theirs now. So they've got to maintain it. If something happens in the sewer, the county is responsible for it. But we had to bore under the stream. We could not disturb the stream. So a truck came in with a special digger on it. And it came in and it put walls down and a floor under. And it picked that stream bed up, completely up, right? Then they were able to dig, and then they were able to put it right back down in place. Wow. It was a pretty amazing thing. But the effect of it is otherwise we were going to have to divert the stream and then maintain that stream for 6 months to make sure no sediment was gone. This way, the only thing we disturbed was a ½ inch on each side of the stream. So we were good. You know, so there are some challenges to site development, right? But the thing about site development is this: if you can see it and somebody else can't, you're ahead of the game. In Fairfax County, there's a lot of land left to be developed, but a lot of it is trouble land. This is trouble land because you got to be able to see your way through this, or your way through that, your way all the way down there. You got to see your way through the neighbors interacting, with the park interacting, the Greensprings interacting. You have to see your way through all that, and to be able to have that sort of vision as a developer or a designer, right, is critical, right, to be able to see it. So can you see something somebody else cannot see, right? And that's when you can make a positive effect. So minimal impact, 18 houses to the greater community. Significant impact to the student learning about it. And so is it worth all this trouble? In my book, it is. I'm not about the bottom line. I'm about experiences and learning. If I were Ed or Will, this would not be single family houses. It would be apartments, and there'd probably be 300 or 400 of them up there, right? And they would maximize that. They would turn probably $50,000 per unit, 50,000 times 300 versus our 18 times 100, right? So a significant dollar difference, right? So I wanted you to see the site conditions, but I also wanted you to know who you get to deal with and work through. And when you talk about critical thinking and problem solving, sometimes it's how do I reason with this neighbor who's calling the board of supervisors of the school board on a weekly basis? How do I reason with them to help them understand? Those sorts of things are challenges to developers. We filed our submission for rezoning in 2002. What year do you think that we got approved?
2005. 2008.
4.
2009.
Wow.
As a resident, you're top of that priority list, the county. Second is a developer. Third and last is me, because I'm the county school. So it just took us forever, because there's a lot of input. We were 60 days from our hearing, and VDOT called and said they're pulling the plug on us. Because when they did the master plan for the Springfield interchange, this becomes a road. Straight through, and that red light you came in on ceases to exist. So we had to redesign for this road that's going to go through here. All right? You're there. You've expensed the money. There'll be a road right straight ahead. Spring Village Drive to your left will only go to the neighborhood. It won't go to that red light. There's going to be another off-ramp from 95. It's going to be too close for that red light.
What year will this whole project be completed?
So 2022 is when we should be done.
Have you started scoping out future projects?
We have a meeting on June 2nd about identifying new property.
New property?
Yeah. And the
I
new
guess that
property
makes sense. It took so long for this one.
will probably be in the Westfields area, or Herndon area.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we're going to do a mixed-use property.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So where we'll be having some affordable housing mixed in with multifamily housing.
Will there be any, are you going to do like apartment complex in there too?
Townhouses, probably.
Townhouses?
So,
The easiest to build. The easiest to build.
apartments.
Really?
Yep. Apartments are the same thing over and over again. Apartments and hotels are exactly the same. They're the same thing stacked on top of each other.
And sometimes they're prefab, so they come in shipments and
Yep.
they're already built off site.
So when we were coming through this process, one of the evaluators is the county arborist. The county has one arborist. She made us count everything that was greater than three-quarters of an inch in diameter. Everything on this lot. We counted 3,000 some odd weeds.
Oh, wow.
Weeds, not trees.
Weeds.
Because they were greater than three-quarters of an inch. Another element is when we did this cut,
You suck the life out.
we're responsible for anything from our cut 150 feet to the right and left. If it dies, we're responsible for it and have to replace it.
Jeez.
So the liability is pretty significant.
Very.